Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It has been a little while since I filmed a video. It probably doesn't look like it to you because I pre-recorded some videos. I was organised for once and then uploaded them at the end of August, but it has actually been a full 2 or 3 weeks. So I wanted to just do a little bit of a book themed update, let you know how I'm doing, what I've been up to recently and what my plans are for the future, because I am at a bit of a crossroads in my life. This is the last couple of weeks of my gap year and I am starting university at the end of September, so a big life change and I'm very excited for it. I am so looking forward to going to university, but it does mean that in some aspects time is running out, and so I'm having to make the most of a lot of free time and the ability to read a lot of books that I want to be reading. I'm going to be doing an English literature degree, which means I'm going to be doing a lot of reading, but it's not likely to be the kind of books that I've been picking up from the bookshop. I've had a look at my reading list, I haven't looked at specific titles yet, but I know it's very heavy on the classics. I've got Hamlet to look forward to, I've got the Iliad to look forward to. I'm also going to be reading the Bible as like a piece of literature rather than as a religious text, and looking at its relevance to the development of literature, which is going to be so interesting. But yeah, that's the short part of it. So what have I been up to recently? In the last 2 weeks, which is why I pre-filmed some videos, my significant other visited me. We've been in a long-distance relationship for the last 3.5 years, and throughout the pandemic we haven't been able to see each other, so it was absolute bliss to be finally reunited, and I got a whole 2 weeks with them and it was absolutely lovely. And a new thing that you can expect to see in some videos is a lovely ring. We're not engaged, to be 100% clear, but oh, that was very bright. This lovely ring that they got me, it is a family heirloom of theirs. It has a lovely red stone in the middle. We're not sure whether it's a ruby or a garnet, but either way, it's just lovely. So I'm going to enjoy holding up books with my lovely new piece of jewellery. Yeah, that was the main thing that's been occupying my time, and since they've gone back home, I've obviously needed to fill the void of not having the person I love around, so I've been out a bit and I've been book shopping a bit. I was being so good. I spent a good 6 months with no new books added to my TBR, and it was being depleted slowly. For the first time ever, I was nearing zero. Then I went and bought 6 new books, so I'll run through them nice and quickly, shall we? Here's the new things that I'm hoping to get to reading. The first one is And the Stars Were Burning Brightly by Danielle Joando. This is a beautiful looking book that I first noticed because of the stunning shiny cover. It's kind of hard to show actually because of how bright it is, but absolutely beautiful. And this is a story about a teenage boy who learns that his older brother has committed suicide, and so embarks on an attempt to understand why his brother took his own life by connecting with his former classmates. I thought it sounded right up my alley in terms of that really deep, interesting look at what it is to be a teenager, especially from a perspective of poor mental health, which is something I'm really interested in, and it sounded like it had been done really well. It has a little recommendation on the back from Alice Oseman as well, and we know how I feel about Alice Oseman. I trust her implicitly, so if she says this is a good book, I will absolutely take that. Next is Splinters of Sunshine by Patrice Lawrence. I have not read any books by this author before, but I saw at the top that it says they were the person who wrote Orange Boy, which I remember seeing in Waterstones for years and years and years. Never bought it, was never interested in it, but it was one of those books that in my mind before I was looking on the internet for reviews of books, that was what made it a really big book, was just the fact that it was still being sold. This is the story about a teenager named Spey who has just received a package made from a torn up collage that he made as a student, sent to him by what appears to be his old friend Dee, who he lost contact with. So he reconnects with his old friend and also has to deal with his father, who has just left prison, coming back into his life. I thought this sounded like a really interesting blend of family and friendship connections, and I really liked this cover and like the picture on the back with the word help spelt out in little petals. I thought that was a really interesting image, and so I'm excited to see how it gets incorporated into this story. Next, I got This Can Never Not Be Real by Sarah Milano. This is the story of 5 teenagers who are all thrown together by a terror attack. specifically a right-wing terror attack, and so they are forced into this situation together purely by coincidence, but they then find that as they deal with the events and recover from the trauma it has caused them, that they need this sense of community and connection more than ever. I thought it would be really, really interesting to read a story that focuses on especially right-wing terror attacks. I don't know whether this is set in America or in Britain, I'm guessing America, but I thought it would be a really, really interesting topic. And I really like these sort of multiple points of view, swapping between characters' stories that explore a lot of different perspectives of the same event or events, and I thought it sounded really, really interesting broadly. The next book that I picked up was Ace of Spades by Farida RBK Iyamida. I am excited for this one. I am in a Discord server for a lot of young fanfiction writers for a specific fandom, and a lot of what we talk about is sort of diverse and interesting stories, and Ace of Spades is one of the titles that kept being brought up. I didn't really pay much attention to it because there were lots of other books being mentioned that I was more excited in, but I saw it on the buy one get one half price table at Waterstones, turned it over and actually read the blurb, and it sounds so interesting. This is the story of a very elitist, privileged school where two students go whose big secrets get revealed to everyone around them, and so they have to try to deal with this slandering really of their characters in a highly pressurised environment that is already inclined to discredit them because they are black students at this academy, and it is a story about systemic racism and oppression and toppling these powers, and I thought sounds fascinating. It's been likened to a thriller. I like thrillers from time to time, so I'm very excited for how it's going to be plotted and paced and how it's going to deal with these things. I'm very excited for it. The next book that I picked up was All of the Above by Juno Dawson. I picked this up mostly because as I was looking down the bookcases in Waterstones, I saw these colours on the spine and I just went, ooh, queer. So I picked it up, had a look and went, oh, firstly, the cover is gorgeous. Secondly, it's by Juno Dawson. I have spoken many times already about the fact that I read Wonderland by Juno Dawson this year and that it was phenomenal, like blew my mind beyond expectations, and so I really wanted to read more of her books, and so I saw this and went, heck yeah, it was already calling to me, and it's a Juno Dawson book. This is the story of a 16-year-old named Toria who goes down to a little seaside town for the summer holiday and unexpectedly ends up falling in love with a boy and with a girl, although it doesn't seem to be a story as simplistic as that, as just a kind of will they, won't they, who does she pick kind of story. But it says that it's also about sort of gender identity and sexuality and eating disorders and self-harm and a whole variety of these topics that are really, really interesting when put into the context of queer stories and just general teen stories. So very excited for this. I have high hopes because Juno Dawson has already blown me away with her writing, so I'm very excited for this. And just like that cover, it's so beautiful and so colourful, so yeah, very excited for that one. And then the last book that I picked up in my mini shopping spree was An Emotion of Great Delight by Tahara Mafi. I have not read any of Tahara Mafi's most famous books because I know she wrote the Shatter Me series, is it? Which is a very, very popular one. However, I did read her other story about her Muslim experiences called A Very Large Expanse of Sea, which is on the back of this one. And it was alright. I was interested in it at the time, but I have since gotten rid of it because I had no inclination to read it again. However, this is another story exploring what it means to be a Muslim woman growing up in Britain post 9/11 and the level of racism that she endured, and especially from the perspective of a female character who hits her limit. And I'm very, very interested in this both as a story of sort of femininity and female rage, but also as a depiction of what it is like to be Muslim in Britain, because of course I have no knowledge of that and I'm very interested in reading about these broader experiences. So also, again, gorgeous cover, so beautiful, how could I not pick it up? So these are the books that I have added to my to be read pile in the most recent weeks. However, I already have a plan of stuff I want to read. As I said, I'm going to have limited time for leisure reading once I go to university, and especially in the first few weeks, I'm sure I'm going to have far better things to do than deciding what video I want to make next and so what book I need to read for it. So I've been prioritising the things that I want to make sure I've read while I still have the time to dedicate myself to books like this. So here is the list of things that I wanted to read before university. I wanted to read On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong because my mum bought it and I knew it was available and a lot of people have said amazing things about it. I wanted to reread Loveless because I read it for the first time around this time of year and I wanted the chance to experience it again before I go to university because it is about Georgia, the main character's experience of starting university while dealing with these thoughts about her sexuality and her romantic identity. I want to read Circe by Madeline Miller because I read The Song of Achilles recently and was so in love with it, and a lot of people say Circe is even better, so very excited to get onto that one. I also have a couple of things that I especially want to read out of my physical TBR that are just general ones I've had sitting around but that I want to give some more attention to. These are Who Put This Song On by Morgan Parker and Full Disclosure by Cameron Garrett. The reason for these are, with this one, it's now been sat on my to read pile for over a year and I've done it before. It just makes me feel bad because I'm then just like, there are so many other books I want to be reading and this is one that I actually own that is just sitting there. So I would like to get that one read, if just so that it can be shifted from my to read pile onto my I've read it pile. And I want to read Who Put This Song On just because it sounded like a really, really interesting book and it has just not been at the top of my inclination. I've sort of been forgetting that it's there, but I'm really interested in the plot and I want to read it, so I'm making it a little bit of a priority. And now that I've talked a little bit about the books that I want to read before uni, I'm going to talk about the two books that I've read recently. So I read On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. I got round to it. I went into the nearest city for the day with my sibling and our train was severely delayed, so I just got the book out and read and had it finished within like a day or two. It's gorgeous. That is the best adjective to describe it. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous is a memoir of Ocean Vuong's childhood especially and sort of reaching adulthood, told through letters that he is writing to his mum, who is Vietnamese and barely speaks English. So he talks a lot about his experience growing up as a Vietnamese person in America, as a first-generation immigrant, about what it was like seeing his mum adapting to this new environment and what it was like for him being raised by her. He talks a lot as well about growing up gay and his first experiences with falling in love and being intimate with a boy, about his love for words and writing in a household where he was the only person who could properly speak English, and as well about the impacts that the Vietnam War had on his family and on his views in general about family and war and love and all these different things. It was so touching and beautiful, and there were so many lines that I just sort of read and had to sit there for a little bit because it was just like, it just gave me so many feelings, and it was stunningly written. It was really, really interesting to read as well, both from the personal and historical perspectives of what Ocean Vuong's writing about. And it was just fantastic. I adored it. It's one of those books where, although I'm not someone who annotates books, I do kind of want to go in there with a pencil and just kind of underline a few things because some of those lines are just absolutely stunning. But yeah, so glad that I read it because it truly lives up to the hype. I think it's spectacular, and yeah, that was book one off my list of things to read before I left for uni, especially because it's my mum's book, not mine, so I would not be able to take that one with me to uni and kind of go, oh, it's on my to read pile, because my mum would be there going, bitch, where's my book gone? And this morning I finished a reread of Loveless. I reread it. I finally got around to rereading it. It's honestly been on my mind since the first time I read it, and from about January of this year I was there going, I really need to reread this soon. I just need to. I need it back in my life, and I finally decided that this was the right time. I had my second COVID vaccine on Sunday, and it made me feel super duper unwell. So I just needed like a comforting read to have with me while I was incredibly feverish and in bed, and Loveless was that. It is still everything to me. I fell in love with these characters even more the second time round. I still managed to cry at it. I thought I probably wouldn't, because the first time reading it I cried a lot, mostly just because it was like, oh, I had no idea anyone could write about my experiences like this. I had no idea anyone could encapsulate how I felt so realistically, and it was the shock more than anything that made me cry. But just the declarations of love from Georgia to her various friends, and her struggle with her identity, and just how much all these friends love each other, still made me cry numerous times. It's perfect. I adore it. There is nothing I love more than Loveless. Alice Oseman still has me in an absolute chokehold, and so glad that I read it again. That's the sort of plainly bookish stuff done, you know, what I've been reading, what I'm going to read, what I've bought recently, but I just want to briefly talk about the fact that I've been making TikToks. I've always been very, very hesitant about TikTok as a platform, just because it was basically Musical.ly trying to be Vine, and I think I just had a bit of snobbery around it, if I'm honest. But I've been watching it more and more recently, and especially I've been watching Book Talk, the bookish TikToks, and I've been really enjoying it. So I made a couple of my own, and they did really, really well. Like, considering the hours of work that I put into YouTube videos for them to get, like, I've only had a couple hit more than over 100 views, and yet it took me maybe 10 minutes to make each of the TikToks I've posted so far, and they've had over 500 or 600 views within a day or two. Like, I'm not saying it feels like a higher return for my effort, but it does, and it's just been really, really fun to make them, because it's a very, very different form of media. So I've been thoroughly enjoying that, and I will now start linking to my TikTok below these videos in case you want to see. Like, I did a couple of mini book hauls when I bought these books more recently, just as a way of being like, hey, I've got new books. It's been really, really fun, and I branched out today and made a TikTok about being Arrow Ace, which was a lot of fun, and fingers crossed the comments are all nice. I'll be deleting any that are aphobic and reporting them and all the rest, but just, you know, it's fun to explore these different things and to make things that I hope will connect with people in different ways. But yeah, that's very nearly it. The only thing that remains to say is that I don't know what my video making is going to be like when I get to university. I am anticipating that I will make some more videos before I go to university, just because I've been reading a lot recently and I've been really enjoying it, and with the books that I've got on my priority list, I expect I'll want to talk about them. But once I get to university, I don't know what it's going to be like. I'm going to be bringing my ring light, I'll obviously be bringing my phone, I'll have my laptop, all the rest of it. I'll have everything I need to be making videos, but I will probably be in shared accommodation. The university that I'm going to has a lot of first years share rooms, so in all likelihood I will have a roommate, and it's going to make filming things interesting. I don't know whether it will make me more confident or more shy, or how it's going to adjust those kinds of things, but I still hope I'll make videos. Just, I don't know what they're going to be about. I don't know how much reading I'll be able to do for leisure. Maybe I'll make videos about the stuff I'm reading for university. Maybe I'll just make university content. I don't know, but broadly it's still going to be bookish. This is the stuff that I really enjoy talking about, and the stuff that I really enjoy just engaging with other people on, so it may shift a little bit just as I have to rearrange it around my new schedule and my new lifestyle, but I really hope it won't be a massive shift, and I hope that you'll still be there to enjoy it, especially because I will have been on YouTube for 1 year as of a couple of days' time. I posted my first video on the 12th of September 2020, and as of filming this, it is the 9th of September. I'm so glad that I decided to do this at the start of my gap year, because it's been such a fun hobby to have. Just to talk a little bit about what it's been like making videos, it's been a really, really great hobby. I've very much enjoyed being able to enjoy books twice, in effect, by reading them and then thinking about them and getting to talk about them on video. It's been really, really interesting filming stuff, thinking about how I'm going to film stuff, and then editing them, thinking about how I want to present things, and then uploading them and getting to talk to people about books, getting to connect with people in ways that I wasn't expecting to, and it's been so much fun. So even if I make videos very, very sporadically, I'm still gonna do it once I'm at uni just because it's so fun and I really enjoy doing this. So yeah, now we are actually at the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for being around for the last year of videos, if you have been. If you're joining me recently, hi, thanks. But yeah, this has been great and I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait to continue in the future just with the I've had a YouTube channel for a year tag attached to me as well. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like it if you did. Comment down below, what books are you reading at the moment, because I just want to hear what other people are enjoying right now, or if you have any tips for starting university. I'm pretty chill about the whole thing, which is unlike me, but I think I'm just so looking forward to it that I don't really have the space for nerves. But yeah, if you have any beginners, freshers, first years tips, then please throw them my way, because it can't hurt. Yeah, feel free to subscribe if you want to see more of my bookish content, and I will see you next time.